World Economic Forum and BlackRock giving you the millionaire blueprint, but 99% of people are going to walk off the cliff.
I ain't gonna give in now, I just gotta live this now. I'm gonna be when I'ma kill this stuff real quick. I'ma go take it to town, cause I gotta be that king of the ring when I'm knocking them out when I'm back with the wheel. Cause I am just up on the journey, you just know that I'm just going insane.
Warriors, rise. Grand Rising, good evening, warriors all over the world. My name is Coach JB. I am the top health, mindset, crypto, and business coach in the world. Remember, what you believe in your heart, you think in your mind, will eventually become your words and become your reality. If you can see it in your mind, eventually you can hold it right here in your hands. What you repeatedly do gets ingrained in your subconscious mind. What gets ingrained in your subconscious mind becomes an unconscious activity. And today I'm going to show you the World Economic Forum, a meeting that just happened. I'm going to show you Larry Fink, one of the largest asset managers in the world, sitting to one of the wealthiest people in the world. And they're telling you exactly where they are taking us. They're literally giving us the blueprint. But the distractions are unbelievable here within the physical plane. Now, I'm not saying I'm for, I'm not saying I'm against. God is my president. That's who I report to. All I'm saying is this is nothing new under the sun. We're going through a massive transition from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. And yes, I'm going to repeat the same things over and over again because what you repeatedly do gets ingrained in your subconscious mind. What gets ingrained in your subconscious mind becomes an unconscious activity. It's the same thing that they do to you. So I'm going to repeat the same things. Moving from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0, from industrial to technical. The industrial era is dead. The middle class is getting wiped out, leveraged towards technology. People making $150,000 to $250,000 a year are starting to live paycheck to paycheck, and the whole ecosystem is about to get flipped upside down. And if you don't gain control of your emotional intelligence, if you don't understand how to be an intrinsic value investor, you will get wrecked in the cryptocurrency space. Facts. You are not chasing rainbows anymore. There is no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Long-term, fundamental, intrinsic value, secure. When it goes parabolic, you have an exit strategy. We secure that wealth. We diversify. We repeat the process. We grow. We pull profits. We secure. We diversify. We grow. Richest man in Babylon. Very simple strategies I learned in the last 4 years. Slow, not sexy, not exciting. If you want to be part of our Warrior Academy, 7 days for free in 2023, click the description down below. I have 9 spots left for my private coaching program on April 3rd. We're interviewing now, all in the description of this video. All right, so let's jump right into this, okay? I love showing you guys videos. Basically, what I do is I spend 8 to 9 hours a day researching. So right now, it is currently 3:27 in the morning. Let me grab a cup. I spend my life devoted to this. Besides my kids, obviously, my kids are my number one priority. My family is my number one priority. And I spend the rest of my time studying. I have designed my life for this. I dive into it on a daily basis. So my investment decisions for my family and my future are based on the best that I can do, watching what they're doing, not what they're saying. So this is the state of the world at the World Government Summit. Only 15,000 people have watched this. This was 5 days ago at the World Government Summit. You have Klaus Schwab kicking it off. I want you to listen to what he says. Then we're going to move over to, the FII ESG London. This is how asset managers, sovereign wealth funds are financing the future of environmental social governance. This was 8 months ago. So they were preparing us methodically for this time. Then I'm going to break down the facts, figures, numbers, logic. Now, what is ECG? Environmental Social Governance. It is zero carbon. World Economic Forum told us in 2000, they started telling us a while ago, they're moving to zero carbon by 2030. Some people say 2030, some people say 2050, some people say 2060. The fact is, it's a move from industrial to technical. The industrial era is dead. The old way of doing your finances is dead. The old way of getting wealthy is dead. The new oil is attention and energy. That's the new attention, energy. Those are the new that's the new oil. It's basically the new oil. So let's listen to what Klaus Schwab has to say. Listen to his opening remarks. They're literally giving you the blueprint.
As it was mentioned, We are faced with issues which are of existential importance for humankind. Our common future is at stake. When we finished our annual meeting in Davos just 3 weeks ago, there was a lot of discussion about what some people call the capability of humankind to cope with so many challenges at the same time. There was the word of multi-crisis. But actually, we are not in a world of multi-crisis. We are in a world where simultaneously we are caught in deep systematic transformation processes.
Okay, so this is key. He was telling us that we're in massive crisis before. Now he's saying we're not in a crisis. We're in a transformation process. The words are starting to change.
So there's a difference between a crisis and a transformation. If you manage a crisis, you want to come back to the original point.
This is so critical what he says. So critical. First, they were managing crisis. Now listen to what he's saying. They're not managing a crisis anymore. This is a world transition into a new world. Listen.
As fast as possible. You want to correct the situation. But in a transformational situation, you have to manage change to come out at the end of the transformation in a better situation compared to the beginning. The world at the moment, as I just mentioned, faces many of those transformational processes.
Now he's going to give you the blueprint.
Systemic processes, structural changes. I just want to mention three. The first, of course, is the economic transformation, with two main catalytic factors and forces: the energy transformation. Just imagine, in 2050, the world will have the double of its present GDP, even if we grow with only 3% per year. It will have 10 billion of inhabitants, but it still needs energy. And we have at the same time to reach the objectives of the Paris Agreement, to decarbonize, to reach zero carbon emissions, or net zero as it is called. But it's not just this transformation, this energy transformation, which will cost, the estimates are 3 trillion a year. It's not only the only factor being pushing this economic transformation. I think we should not underestimate the big reshaping of global supply chains, which is just happening now.
Okay, so there's so much in that to unpack, okay? So he's talking about ESG, environmental social governance. Now, why am I bringing this up in investment strategies? So BlackRock, Bridgewater, Blackstone, where Larry Fink came from, Saudi Arabia, all these large countries are moving. Then the whole Bitcoin narrative around it being energy intensive. Guys, branches, ATMs, employees driving back and forth has way more carbon than Bitcoin's mining. It's a narrative, guys. That's why Ethereum moved over from proof of work to proof of stake. You have so many energy efficient, very inefficient cryptocurrency and blockchains. Algorand, XRP, XLM, I could go on and on. The ISO tokens are all, most of them are all eco-friendly, right? It's all the narrative to move us into the environmental social governance, which moves their narrative forward financially, okay? There's some massive countries, Saudi Arabia, China, Russia, Brazil, India, South Africa. All these countries are working to de-dollarize from America But we'll dive into that in just a moment. So there's a switch of power, just so you guys know. I love being an American, but there's a switch of power that you are going to see within the next 10 years. And if you don't prepare for this, you are going to be completely lost in the system. Okay, so that was Klaus Schwab kicking it off a couple days ago. This was 8 months ago, and this is massive. Two of the wealthiest people in the world. Listen to what they're saying.
Is the role of financial institutions, the sovereign funds themselves, and the major fund managers of the world. I have two better guests than we can have for the next half hour, and let's give them a warm welcome. First, His Excellency, the Governor of the Public Investment Fund, Xrparmy, joining us from New York, and to his left.
And just to give you clarity, this conference is about the future of ESG, environmental social governance.
Larry Fink is the CEO of BlackRock. We just had some time together in the UAE. One manages $620 billion and is in the top 5 of sovereign wealth funds, and the other sits on top of $10 trillion.
Did you hear that? $600 billion, top 5, and trillions of dollars.
So what they have to say this afternoon does matter. We have a surround sound studio here, and we have to ask both of them about how they feel about today's level of risk. But the first thing I think we need to do, Your Excellency, is talk about the framework that's been established today. Richard explained it to the audience, but this inclusive ESG framework is important. Why is inclusivity so important to underline with the figures that I was talking about, with so many living without energy and the transition that we need to make now and going to 2050? Please.
I think it's important because, to start with, it's inclusive. And like what you mentioned, the accessibility to energy around the emerging markets is not in the same level of the rest of the world. So we want to introduce a framework that takes into consideration market realities and also differences to allow representation for all markets, including, of course, the emerging ones. So it will set a new global standard that measures the ESG elements that has inclusivity as its core.
Okay, so you got to think about the blockchains that do that. It's all going to be run on blockchain technology. You're not going to be able to use the old archaic banking system to manage the ESG governance, the reporting, the carbon credits, the new management of finances.
Great. Let me follow up quickly, and then I'll bring Larry into the conversation. How do you make ESG work in Saudi Arabia? And I would imagine there's an information gap because most people don't realize the transition that's underway at the company you're chairman of, at Saudi Aramco, with net zero to 2050, 2060 for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as well. But how?
Remember, all oil is traded in US dollar. They're working to go zero carbon.
Does ESG apply to the kingdom in your view, Your Excellency?
We looked into the ESG and the environmental as part of the umbrella, which is the Vision 2030, which sets out the roadmap for the kingdom ESG. We have announced in that the case that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will be net zero emission by 2060. That was announced by His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince, during the launch of Saudi Green Initiative. And there we said we're going to be planting 10 million trees. We will launch a national renewable energy program to increase the share of energy renewable to 50%. And 2030, we will get rid almost from all the liquids and focus on gas and renewable energy. So we're making progress in the kingdom. Also, we make progress to improve the quality of life by increasing the home ownership. I think we moved from like 47% to 60% by the year 2020. Also, Tadawul introduced ESG guidelines to improve the ESG performance of public companies. Also in Saudi through the BIF.
Okay, that's a key. So their ESG, all companies have to get up with this ESG, okay, or they're not going to get their funding. Now, remember, they're talking about 23rd. That's the World Economic Forum agenda. Let's jump over here to Larry Fink. Okay, Larry Fink is the largest asset manager in the world. He's the president of the United States.
Great. Thank you very much. Let's bring in Larry Fink. And 2 years ago in your investment letter that is so widely watched, Larry, you said that climate risk is investment risk. I'd love you to elaborate on that. But now we have a boatload of risk, including conflict, which has hit energy supplies with Russia and Ukraine, and the level of investment that's needed.
Don't be remiss what he just said. He said now we have energy, we have energy supply chain. Russia invaded Ukraine, and now we're in this climate change narrative. Russia invaded Ukraine, the two biggest wheat producers, energy. It all is aligned. Problem, reaction, solution.
Needed to hit the net zero 2050 targets. How has your narrative changed with what's on the table in front of us right now, but also after making that statement 2 years ago?
Well, the statement is more true than ever before. Climate risk is investment risk. But in that letter, I also said any energy transition is not going to be a straight line. It has to be fair and just. We told every investor, don't divest of hydrocarbons. It is better to be working with all the companies that are in hydrocarbons, not against them. And I would say in the last 2 years, there has been a remarkable change in attitude worldwide across every energy company around the world. They understand that they have to be moving forward.
And why do you think that is? Because they're not going to get their funding. They're not going to get their funding. They're choking people off, the financial institutions or their financial access, if they're not moving towards ESG.
And we now have issues around energy security. We do have issues around the need to have reliability of sourcing energy during the transition. And so that's what we're experiencing now. And obviously now we are witnessing rising energy prices, but that began before the Russian invasion. And so what we were seeing, many policies of mitigating supply without mitigating demand. And so this is why we have this imbalance at the moment, and the imbalance of energy has been more fortified by the Russian invasion. This will resolve itself over the next 2-3 years. Higher energy prices actually bring down the green premium. Higher energy prices is going to accelerate investing in more renewables. And importantly, we have not seen a real change in terms of investor attitude. We've seen trillions of dollars of money over time throughout the industry to be moving into more sustainable strategies. The demand now for decarbonization technology, the demand for investing in carbon capture, the demand for sequestering of hydrocarbons is just as great as ever. And so we are working with the traditional energy companies right now on all of these issues.
Okay, so we'll leave it right there. So they brought up Russia and Ukraine multiple times. Where is Biden the last couple of days? Kicking in Ukraine, pissing off Russia. It's all interconnected, family, okay? United States officially rejoins Paris Agreement. The first thing on January 20th, on his first day in office, President Biden signed the instrument to bring the United States back into the Paris Agreement. Per the terms of the agreement, the United States will officially become a party again. First thing Biden did, and he's right now in Ukraine trying to piss Russia off. Russia and Ukraine war is messing with supply chain. It's messing with energy. Okay. This was Larry Fink's letter, okay, to the public. BlackRock, the power of capitalism. I'll go down here. I've showed this to you guys before. Capitalism and sustainability. Most stakeholders, from shareholders to employees to customers to communities and regulators, now expect companies to play a role in decarbonization for the global economy. Few things will impact capital allocation decisions and therefore, a long-term view of a company more than how effectively you navigate the global energy transition in the years ahead. It's been 2 years since I wrote the climate risk and investment risk, the letter he talked about. And the short period, we have seen a tectonic shift of capital. Tectonic. Sustainable investments have now reached 4 trillion. Actions and ambitions towards decarbonization has also increased. This is just the beginning of the tectonic, I say that twice, shift towards sustainable investing is still accelerating. Okay. Very, 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 very important to understand. Biden drives Saudis into China's arms, fueling more de-dollarization of the world's economy. So activist investors call for BlackRock CEO Larry Fink to step down over ESG hypocrisy. The dude ain't going nowhere. Larry Fink is here to stay. Money and politics go hand in hand. So you can fight an invisible enemy. You can look at it as the world is trying to improve. Mother Nature is coming back. I don't know how you want to look at it, but the left and right was created by the left and right to get us to fight. It's always been this way. Okay. It's always been this way. Birds of a feather fly together. So you can fight an invisible enemy. This has been nothing. Jesus was flipping over the money changers 3 days before he was crucified. There's always a problem, reaction. They brought up Russia multiple times. Why did Russia invade Ukraine? Like, what happened? Like, all of a sudden we come out of the C word and then we're all looking this way and boom, Russia invades Ukraine. We have supply chain problems, energy problems. And then now everything is ESG. I'm literally showing you the blueprint. They're showing you exactly where they're heading. And if you put your investments in the right things, you pick a couple winners, could completely change your life. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. I'll continue to share this information. I hope that you'll send this video to a friend or family member to help them make the complex, allow me to help them make the complex simple so they can understand. Their financial advisors aren't talking about this. They have no freaking clue. Financial advisors are selling you products and services that benefit their company so they can win a trip to the Bahamas. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Warriors, rise. Get your shit together. Let's go.